Get the Friendo Club set up today and get access to over 700 Going in Raw bonus episodes, our monthly Big Blue predictions challenges, and the ability to ask questions at Going in Raw. We also offer the Steven Larson comic book and exclusive Friendo Club t-shirt. Just hit join here at youtube.com/Steven Larson or go to patreon.com/Steven Larson to sign up. Hey, friendo, Steve here.
Hey, Larson.
And welcome back to the Steven Larson Pro Wrestling Podcast, ruining pro wrestling podcasting since 2014. We got a jam-packed episode today. Of course, our WWE Raw review is already available. We did it day of, but we've got a bunch of news that we can cover in the world of pro wrestling, including, is AEW winning again? Backstage details on CM Punk's Saudi apology. Whoa, hold on a second. Do I need to bust out the Punk Daily theme, Larson?
No, Punk Daily theme was for when there was trouble being caused or there was trouble backstage as it relates to CM Punk.
This is actually the opposite. He's being the perfect company employee. Well, he's not an employee. Also, AEW talent, more AEW talent, I should say, interested in going to WWE and vice versa. WWE might be interested in them. And, of course, we're going to talk about formerly known as, at this point, probably formerly known as Saraya, because we might be seeing Paige back in the WWE. All that, we're going to answer your questions as well.
Yeah.
Where would you like to begin, Larson?
We'll start with AEW being better than ever. So, during an appearance on the Battleground podcast, Tony Khan declared that AEW wins again because it's better than ever. These transcripts come to you from WrestlingNews.co. Quote, so Tony had to say, I actually think it's better than it's ever been. For many years, when we started up, we had great pay-per-views. We had 2 great hours of TV every Wednesday night, and now we're delivering something very different. Twice as much TV every week. That's why we haven't used that expression, restore the feeling, in a long time. I think it's been for a long time. We're doing something new now and giving the fans something new with Wednesday Night Dynamite, Saturday Night Collision, all of it being simulcast and available to a wider audience. Looking just to the cable audience has grown too against all expectations, so that's been really great. He said a lot of stuff there, but I think we really need to talk about is their truth on that statement. AEW is actually better than it's ever been.
Ever is a big statement, and I don't think you should ever say that thing. Even
but he's a promoter, so he will.
Okay, he says a lot of things. I mean, that's the thing about Tony Khan is even when they weren't very good, everything was better than ever. And that's why it's like, I don't know. I get it. He's a promoter. And it's not like in the thick of 1995, WWF, Vince McMahon would have been on TV saying, well, I don't even know if he was kayfabe owner then. But I don't know if he'd be out there saying, oh, yeah, this is the best. This is way better than we did with Hulk Hogan back then when everybody knew who we were. I get it. He's a promoter. The thing is, there's a lot of positive to be had from the business metrics of AEW these days. And you ain't got to lie to kick it. And this is my problem with Tony, is that he goes on whatever interview it was, I don't know, it was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where it was on, God, what was it? It was like on television. I forget what it was. But, he says, oh, our TV viewership is up year over year. No, it's not. It's not factually. The cable ratings are not where they were a year ago. You can't just throw shit like that out and then expect us to take you seriously. That being said, there was a terrific write-up. I think it was WrestleNomics. Let me double check this.
Sure. I will say this. Most people watch Max on their television, I would imagine. So if he's taking Max numbers into consideration, it's possible the TV numbers are up.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, the specificity with which he was saying was his TV, the actual cable, like on TBS TNT.
Does that count what the +4 and the +7s, the DVR numbers?
Well, I like if he wants to count those against what the, live was last year, then okay, maybe he'll have a point there. But there was actually a really terrific write-up recently, and I read it in my email, so I'm pretty sure. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah,
here we go.
WrestleNomics. Great works. Yeah.
It was an analysis. It says that this is the headline. AEW's fan metrics are turning around, but not yet recovered. It says after at least 2 years. And like you said, WrestleNomics is a terrific Patreon follow.
Yeah, Brandon Thurston does great work. Go check him out.
He does. After at least 2 years of steady decline, AEW's fan-driven, emphasis on fan-driven because overall, i.e. business-to-business revenue is a very different story, metrics are moving in a positive direction year to date. This is not a recovery of those recent years of consistent decline, but the numbers are no longer getting worse. AEW Dynamite's weekly cable ranking in the 18 to 49 demographic, a strong indicator of the program's media value, has improved, not dramatically, but clearly. From a low point near the start of 2025, the show has climbed back towards the number 50 mark, surpassing it a few times so far this year. The median trend has bent upwards. Cable viewership, too, is up slightly. That is, it's up sequentially, meaning ratings in more recent months of 2025 are doing better than ratings in earlier months of the year. AEW's cable viewership is not up year over year, as AEW CEO Tony Khan falsely stated last week. So even Brandon refutes that.
Yeah.
That being said, dude, AEW creatively, and this is the thing, creatively speaking, yeah, they're doing great these days. Like they're really putting together a lot of really good television. And these days, with all the competition out there, be it TikTok, WWE, or Sleep, it's a long road to recovery in a situation where WWE floods the market, as is their right to do.
Yeah.
They're flooding the market, so you got a lot of competition there. People like to sleep. You got competition there.
Oh, I love to sleep.
I do too. It's amazing.
I don't get enough of it.
And so the turnaround, I think, is probably a bit more difficult than maybe it used to be when you could do the NWO and all of a sudden you're winning in the ratings, you know?
Yeah. You know, I think it speaks to something we've been talking about for a while, which is you could try to pop a number with an event, with a moment. But when it comes down to it, if you want consistent growth of your audience, you got to be telling some interesting stories. That's what, you can bring people in with those moments. People stick around because of the stories you're telling. And for a while, that was a huge issue with AEW. What are they doing creatively? Why does this seem slapped together at the last moment? There's been a marked turnaround during the course of 2025, it feels like. And has it all been great? No. But I think especially they're really hitting their stride now heading into All In Texas, be their largest show of the year. They could have a great moment to end that show with Hangman Adam Page defeating Mox. They got 2 huge matches booked for that show, the one I just mentioned, as well as Tony Storm versus Mercedes. You had Okada versus Omega, 6? 5, 6? I can't remember which match they're on now, what they're going to be on. It's a loaded card. And they're hitting their stride at the right time. And if they can maintain this creative energy going into All In Texas, maintain that creative energy following the show, that show can get a lot of good positive buzz for the company if they do things right. And really start to accelerate the momentum they have, so long as they can do something on the creative side to maintain it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's consistency, and it's finding the right amount of consistency along with, and this is one thing where I think they do need to work a little bit on, every once in a while you do need a big buzzworthy moment. And I think we're going to get that at All In with Hangman winning. I think that'll turn some heads. Assuming that happens. If they go the other way and have Moxley win, that's not gonna be. I don't know if there's any way they can satisfactorily pull that one off and not have people be like, really, still?
I know. I
feel like
even if Darby returns at the end to attack Mox, I don't think that's going to be enough to.
I feel like this has to be it. I haven't felt that way about anybody dethroning Mox up until now. But you're absolutely right. It's about the consistency. Back in 2018, 19, 20, I think it was 2020 or so. I don't know when it was. But I remember when TNA used to be pretty decent about like popping a big moment. And then like at the end of the day,
something like this?
No. Like Sammy hitting Ed Edwards in the head with that bat that time.
Oh, yeah.
There were a couple moments during that era when it was like, oh shit, look at what TNA's doing. That's kind of cool.
Like when Penta had the TNA title for a couple days?
No, the Hardy Boys deletion stuff. It was like, oh wow, look at what they're doing. You got something else?
No, I'm trying to think.
Alberto Del Rio. When they had to redo Alberto Del Rio's entrance because they spelled his name wrong on the Tron.
Tron, yeah.
But like it's then you go back there and it's like, oh, I can tell this was taped like 3 weeks ago and it's not terribly compelling, and then everything just drops off a cliff. Well, AEW right now, they got
Werewolf Ed Edwards.
Oh, that should have kept people around, because it's like, when is he going to turn the werewolf again?
Exactly.
But like, it is about the big moments and then following through. Big moment, follow through. I will say this about them. The one thing that really sticks out to me is that for the longest time, it seemed like they had no idea how to pace their stories in between pay-per-views.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing. Either nothing would happen or they would just jam everything into 1 week and then nothing would happen the next week. But I feel like they've got a pretty decent handle on like how to pace out your stories week to week leading to your next big show.
Yeah.
And I think one benefit of having whatever it is now, 10 shows a year, I think that helps, because it's like, okay, you always have something kind of around the corner that you can build to. And then you can take, okay, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're at your next show.
Yeah.
And so they've been doing that a lot better lately. I think the biggest thing, obviously, is the character stuff, though. It's the dynamics between the characters and, the days. I mean, one obvious, addition via subtraction is like Chris Jericho. He's not there. There's not a ton of reminders of just like old ex-WWE guys. I know the champion is Mox and he's an old ex-WWE guy, but the core that they're focusing on, along with some of the people they've signed recently, when you sign a Josh Alexander or Speedball Mike Bailey, that type of, wrestler, and show us what you're going after. The tagline, where the best wrestler, might be cheesy, but it's apropos. But Swerve, Hangman, Ospreay.
Yeah.
Those three guys, and their dynamic is really carrying the A story right now. And it's interesting stuff.
It is. And they're focusing on talent that are invested in AEW.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's, I think the audience can recognize that. And it resonates more when you're focusing on talent who are there for the greater success of AEW and to build up that promotion into a legitimate alternative consistently to WWE. And they're positioning themselves more so as an alternative, because there's enough of a difference. For a while, it looked like they were trying to do WWE light.
Yeah.
And they've gotten away from that. For a while, they were like, what's AEW's identity? And then kind of once they landed on we're the best wrestle, it seemed like everything else kind of fell into place. It wasn't overnight.
Yeah.
But it's like, all right, the wrestling's our bread and butter. We got really compelling characters on our show. We have an approach to storytelling that's not too dissimilar from WWE, but different enough that it's our own. Let's focus on those things.
And there's also a lot less of the superficial filler. It's like with WWE, the big, knock on it these days that, primarily I see is largely, boy, you got a lot of advertisements. Number one, AEW has for their pay-per-views. It's a pay-per-view model. So it's like people are plunking down $50. They don't need to be, and they still do advertisements, but it doesn't need to be just in our face all the time. There is a greater emphasis on the wrestling and less emphasis on the razzle dazzle, which I understand people like the razzle dazzle. WWE feels big for a reason. Yeah. And AEW doesn't concern themselves with that. They're more of a meat and potatoes. Yeah. And there's a lot of people out there who appreciate that and might find themselves tuning out of WWE here and there. And I do not think for a second, I don't think this is like 1997 or 1996 or whatever, when you can have such an easy turnaround like WCW. Like I said, they introduced the NWO and then boom, there is none of that. There is no Mike Tyson figure who can from 98 who can show up in AEW right now and change it by a million viewers or anything like that. Yeah. Tyson didn't do that back then, but he did back then. It was much tighter, and Tyson was able to turn the tide. Yeah, it's not close these days in terms like AEW has a problem beating NXT most weeks. Yeah, and most weeks in cable they don't. Add Max to that, I think they probably do. But nobody knows what the Max figures are. Yeah, so we don't know what those numbers are. That's just very anecdotal, Yeah, yeah. But, their business is strong, and it takes time, especially if you're going to do meat and potatoes and not a big razzle dazzle, to get people to come over. It's going to take some time to turn around.
Yeah.
But, between the TV deal and the pay-per-view stuff, like, seems like they got plenty of breathing room to do that,
Yeah. If it's a situation where they recognize and we'll say, well, WB, they get the razzle dazzle. They get the spectacle. WWE's production is very crisp. But with that, at times it can come off as kind of sterile.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, literally the A story in AEW is about the heart, the soul of AEW. What is it going to be going forward?
Yeah.
And I think it's a great way to showcase, all right, this is a difference in terms of how we approach our programming. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get, they have pyro. You're not going to get all the pyro. You're not going to get all the slick production. You're not going to get the huge stages. You're not going to get 14,000 seat arenas, mostly or completely full.
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to get is interesting characters, exploring the dynamics between them, and some of the best weekly wrestling on television.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if they stick with that, are consistent with it, and can continue to find ways to put these characters in interesting situations to explore those dynamics, I think it's not going to be an overnight change of fortune, but I don't see any reason why they can't continue this incremental improvement they've been seeing in their metrics.
One thing also to keep in mind in terms of like the future, like looking forward 5-10 years, is I haven't like looked up everybody here, but if you stack up WWE's under 35 roster versus AEW's under 35 roster, I get the feeling AEW might edge them out on that one because Ospreay, Hangman, and Swerve are all under 35.
Yeah.
Cody's 40, Seth's almost 40.
Punk, Orton, over 40. Drew's around 40.
Those guys are way over 40.
Yeah. So, everybody.
Is Drew over 40 now?
He's got to be around there. Everybody in the main event at WWE is probably 35.
He is 40. He's 40, yeah.
They're all over 35, I would imagine.
Who else? Yeah. How old's Gunther? Gunther is 37. He's 37.
Yeah. So, like Sammy's probably around 40. Kevin Owens is 41.
40, yeah.
So, it's not to say that, the tank's almost empty for all of them, but...
You got Carmelo Hayes and you got Trick Williams.
And Obafemi.
I'm sorry. And if they ever pull the trigger on Austin Theory, I think he's like 27.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, look, they've got pieces. They got Javon, but they got pieces there in NXT. But, Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, and Hangman, they've been doing this for a long time. They're already veterans, and they're not yet 35.
Yep.
So, whether that means anything or not, 5-10 years from now, there's going to be a lot of people switching sides, going back and forth because that's how wrestling works. But it is something that I've noticed with WWE. It's like, you guys got a lot of 40 plus. You got a lot of, or nearing 40 or at the 40 mark.
They got a lot of work to do in the next 2 or 3 years to start developing their younger talent to bring it up to the main event level. Because you're going to have a lot more people on very part-time schedules. Might have a few people stepping away from the business. And you can't just rely on calling CM Punk, hey, let's book you in a story for WrestleMania. You got to focus on the people that are there day in and day out. And if they're not putting in the time to develop main event talent in 3, 4, 5 years' time, it's going to be a problem for them.
It is, yeah. Yeah. Around like 5 years from now, it's going to be really interesting to see who's main eventing WrestleMania.
Yep.
That's going to be really if you're still like Cody and Seth main eventing WrestleMania, I mean, if the stories are there, then I guess you're cool, but like, man, it takes Triple H takes his time, and it does take time to build stars, I'm sure, look, I think between now and, within sometime within the next 12, 24 months, we're going to get Braun Breaker's Batista thumbs down moment. That's one dude though, I mean, there's other people they really need to get a move on with.
Yep.
I could see Dominic Mysterio, in a very prominent spot, and he's a young guy with a terrific character. Finn Balor doesn't seem to age, so maybe in 5 years he could be back up in the main event of WrestleMania spot. Both titles over his shoulders. That'd be pretty great.
That'd be something.
Anyways, hey man, it's the first of the month, so get your
cash your checks and come up.
Cash your checks and come up. But more importantly, click on that join button or go to Patreon, because the new month of the Predictions Challenge, will Steve's reign as Predictions Champion come to an end? Will Jack Showtime cash in? Friendo in the bank. Got a huge weekend coming up. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. It's All In. It's Saturday night's main event, and it is Evolution.
Not Battleground, Great American Bash. NXT has a show that weekend, too.
Oh, man. Goddamn. Boy,
Yeah.
that was a lot of wrestling right there.
Apparently, Super Card of Honor. I think it's Super Card of Honor. Or is it
Man, we're not doing that for
Another
predictions.
Ring of Honor. I'm just saying, there's a lot of wrestling that weekend.
But we're going to focus on 3 or maybe 4, maybe the NXT one as well, because we cover that here at the channel.
We do.
In any event, we'll figure it out. But the Predictions Challenge is all going down on one weekend. So be sure you get in on the action. Click join to become a channel member, or go to patreon.com/Steve and Larson and click on the Friendo Club setup. Either way you do it, it's $5 a month. All goes to Steve and Larson. And there's some small processing fees for Patreon and YouTube, but most of it goes to Steve and Larson. Help support the channel, and you get access to our old bonus episodes and question threads. And it's a good old time sitting here, watching all the shows, doing the watch-alongs, and like wondering, who's in the lead, who's in first, sweating it out, watching Jack Showtime sweat it out. Steve here last month sweating it out.
Oh man, I've never seen you so nervous, so anxious,
bro.
You're not an anxious person.
I'm not at all. I just, blissfully ignorant is how I live my life. So no stress over here.
But you were stressing.
I was stressing. Definitely stressing. Didn't we have Popeyes that day? What do we have that day? Popeyes?
Yeah.
Yeah. That helped take the edge off a little bit.
I would hope so.
Yeah. That was good stuff.
All right. Let's talk about this. So, of course, CM Punk had his apology at the Night of Champions kickoff. And following that apology to Saudi Arabia, post-wrestling, wondered if the person who asked Punk, or requested, I don't know what the exact exchange was, to apologize could have been planted in the crowd. And in a recent Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer added the following. These transcripts come to you from Wrestling Inc. Quote, that obviously was planted. Obviously somebody wanted him to apologize, and he did. He's not exactly the apologetic type, for one thing. And if you're going to apologize, I don't know if this is the thing you apologize for, given his political viewpoints and everything. All the time he was there, they always protected him like they protect people from this type of thing, and they do not protect him at all. They ran an angle that made him look bad. They did this. They made him apologize. Triple H was like, it's so grown up of him to apologize. So what Dave's referring to there is Triple H's comments about CM Punk at the Night of Champions post-show. That's where Triple H said this. These transcripts are from Wrestling Observer. Quote, I was privileged to watch him grow as a human being, to step out here and apologize to the people of Saudi, to just cherish where he is in life and his career and the things that he gets to do and the opportunities that he has. And I was incredibly proud of him.
Yeah. It's an interesting thing to try to wrap your head around all that. Because I saw Triple H saying that stuff, and I don't know if it's just the grumpy old guy in me, or sort of like just the company's vibe in general these days. But I'm just like, what a fucking condescending prick.
Oh, I know. I thought the same thing.
He's so grown up. I got to see a guy grow up. Man, CM Punk is my age. And at this age, if some dude said, oh, I'm so glad to see Steve grow up and grow as a person, I'd be like, I don't know, just out of principle, I'd be like, fuck you, man. Like, it's not good enough for me. Like, I don't know. I get it, because Punk, a lot of people, Punk is always posting things on his social media, going to, like, for example, he went to like one of the No Kings rallies, I think in Chicago, probably. And he's always posting, more progressive leaning political stuff on his social media, which I think, regardless of, like, I don't know what's inside the dude's heart, but using that platform to get that kind of messaging out there, I think is really indicative. Like, why would he do that as performance when, if that's not something you believe, why would you bother doing that? You know what I mean? Like, you're using your platform to get that message across. And then, you know, I get it. I think it's kind of it's a complex thing on one hand. Like, you know, he's been very vocal in the past about his seemingly true thoughts about WWE and the Saudi relationship. And it was kind of cringy to see him get up there and say, this guy wants me to apologize for a 6-year-old tweet. Sorry.
Yeah.
It was just uncomfortable as hell.
It was.
And it's like, I get it. It's difficult because it's like, dude, this guy is clearly, the way things were left with WWE were gnarly, you know? And he ran them down. They would run him down from time to time. Fans would always be chanting for him. He goes to AEW, runs them down there. But it seems like the guy just wanted to go back to WWE. He had unfinished business there. And he's getting paid shit tons of money, and things are going great. And then comes a time when you have to very, very publicly eat some shit. That's out of my pay grade to look at that and be like, oh, you fucking hypocrite. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, it's another dude who had to make a decision, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know that I wouldn't have made the same decision. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't cast judgment like that. You know, you could just make the best decisions you can for yourself and try to understand where other people are coming from.
Exactly.
I guess. I don't know.
No, I don't.
What do you
I don't
think,
disagree. Dude? You know, you like the hope that CM Punk is sincere in his convictions. You know, as they're portrayed in his appearances on social media, and whether he was put in a position or he put himself in this position where he thought, well, I have to address this, and this is a decision he happened to make. You know, like, it is complex. So I don't know, like, casting judgment on him, that's not like something I'm necessarily looking to do. You know, that's the decision he thought was best for himself, and that's for him to live with.
Yeah.
You know, essentially.
Yeah. The Triple H thing was, God, boy.
Especially thinking back to, you know, like in 2010, 2011. Oh, I want Sheamus to be my guy.
Well, you know, I guess it would be a little bit different. Like along those lines, I guess if they've got a really good working relationship where CM Punk they feel comfortable enough with each other so that he would see that as like, oh, that's my dude and he's out there saying nice things about me. But I don't know, man.
I mean, I guess Triple H saying this in light of the CM Punk apology, it is condescending.
It really feels that way.
It kind of feels like, gosh, I don't know how to.
I mean, are we just tiptoeing around the fact these are a bunch of fucking rich assholes?
A business decision was made that this had to be done. And I guess you could say Triple H is saying, oh, I'm proud that he did it, or I'm proud that I suggested it and he did it.
You know, man, if it's like, hey, I'm getting paid tons of money and I'm getting this huge platform, which is only growing exponentially, for me to then express how I feel about a lot of different things. You know, again, it's complex stuff, but at the end of the day, they're all rich assholes. Larson.
Yep.
I don't know a single one of them personally, and I don't want to know a single one of them personally.
Nope.
But I like watching my stories on television.
You do like watching your stories on the television. Speaking of those,
might get some AEW stories in WWE, or at least some talent.
Crossover? Super show? Is that what you're talking?
No, well, I don't know. It might be a super show if Danhausen's there. Yes. So, Mark of bodyslam.net reported. Does Mark have a last name? Do we know his last name?
I just said Mark. That's all I saw.
Reported that WWE may be interested in some AEW talent who have expiring contracts this year, naming Private Party and Danhausen as talents WWE would be interested in bringing in sooner rather than later. Larson, would you love to see Private Party and Danhausen in WWE?
Yeah, I would. I don't know what AEW. No, we were just talking earlier about how AEW creatively had seen some improvements this year. One of the low points was the handling of Private Party's tag title run, though, towards the end of last year and in this year, where they were barely on TV. Whatever story they had set up before the title win seemingly pushed aside. and they just pretty quickly lost those titles to Hurt Syndicate.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't think they've been on TV since. And if they have, it's been on Collision.
Yes.
And it's a bummer because they're really good. They're a really good tag team.
They are.
And I thought they were really exploring some interesting character stuff with them in the lead up to their tag title win. And then again, once they won it, it's kind of tossed aside. We'll have a couple matches. They'll drop the titles to Hurt Syndicate and then seemingly disappear. Danhausen has not been on AEW TV a whole heck of a lot. He wasn't even on a ton when they first signed him. He wasn't really utilized for anything other than comic relief.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm less familiar with his work as it pertains to in-ring. You know, I don't think what he did in AEW is probably any sort of indication of what he can do, because what he did in AEW is pretty minimal from an in-ring perspective. I think the fit with Danhausen would be interesting.
Yeah, he's a unique character.
Yes.
And there's nobody else like him on television in wrestling. He's probably one of the, like, I'd say probably top 3 branded in terms of his presentation. The dude is so great with his merch and his look.
Well, that would be a concern, that if he signed with the WWE, all that awesome looking merch.
Yeah.
WWE's design team isn't the best when it comes to the merchandise.
I would think that, number one, that's got to be a point of pride for him, that I'd like to think that he could be like, okay, number one, I don't know if the dude has an agent or not, but if he has an agent, be like, listen, I control the merch, you know, like
Or
at the very least,
or hire my guy.
Yeah. We hire my guy to do that, because it'd be a shame if that went to the wayside.
Because here's the thing too, his merch is so good that it would sell simply because aesthetically it's so great.
It transcends wrestling.
It really does.
The best looking merchandise in wrestling.
So if WB is like, yeah, we want to bring you in, and if a sticking point is Danhausen saying, I want, say, over my merch, I want my, somebody that I feel comfortable working with, handling it, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Like, WB would be foolish to say no, because that's a moneymaker for the company, right?
Yeah, it'd sell hand over fist. But, like, getting back to the character stuff, yeah, I don't know, like, where he fits in necessarily, like, do you put him in NXT for a spell and then see what happens up on main roster? I don't know. I mean, I'd be definitely interested in seeing what that looks like. I see he seems like more of a Raw guy than a SmackDown guy. SmackDown seems so slick. But like Raw, I feel like maybe it'd fit in there.
Well, SmackDown seems slick and kind of creatively inert. So
yeah, well, there's that too.
There's two things there working against SmackDown as it relates to getting Danhausen.
Plus, he's good friends with Phil, so
that's true.
Raw's probably the place where he'd want to go. But yeah, I mean, dude, honestly, if the rumors are true about them wanting to bring in Mr. Iguana, I guess they're just going to be like, hey, it's another challenge for us to see what we can do with these people. But like if they connect with the, Triple H, if they connect with the crowd, that we're going to find something to do,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd love to see the guy on my television. Seems like a lovely fella and yeah, super creative guy.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it'd be interesting to see where he fits. Yeah, definitely. Private Party, that's a no-brainer. Hell of a tag team. Raw could use some tag teams.
Yeah.
SmackDown seems fine. They're loaded with tag teams.
Yeah, they're pretty loaded in the tag division there.
But the Raw division, them
There's
against
3 teams at this point, pretty much.
Judgment Day, New Day, and War Raiders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Creeds don't wrestle enough to really be.
Yeah,
they barely wrestle.
Yeah, they don't really wrestle that much.
No, they don't.
Yeah.
Speaking of wrestling, the WWE, well, Paige make a return. So following her departure from AEW, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether Saraya, formerly known as Paige in WWE, would make a return to the company. In a recent interview with the Orlando Sentinel, she stated that she hasn't had any conversations with the company. This is the full quote from the article. Quote, I haven't had a conversation with them. I know I always get tagged and everything. As soon as there's a mystery going around, they're like, hey, she's coming back. But no. I love the WWE, but no. It feels good to take a little break from wrestling and then see the outpouring of love from people saying they want me back. I just want to get my feet wet outside of wrestling for a little bit and take care of myself this year. It's consumed my whole life. All 32 years of my life has been wrestling. So I just want to find myself a little bit outside it, and next year, maybe come back.
So do you think by this time in 2026, we will see Paige back in the WWE?
I would be surprised if we didn't. honestly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if she's available, if she wants to do it, to see Triple H. It's great to see her grow as a person.
It's like the new thing. It's all part of the show, and then I'm so proud of how
I'm so proud of this person to see them grow as a human being. Yeah. Yeah. It's WWE right now. It's like they're win now, right? Which means
they're like the Houston Rockets, right?
Yeah, exactly. She's the Katie. Well, she's only 32.
Yeah, I know.
Which is a solid 15 years younger than their main event scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, or 10 anyways. So, there's lots of time. There's lots of time for that, you know. And they like to bring in as many people with name value and brand value as they can. So, yeah, if she wants to be there, I'd be kind of surprised if they didn't. Now, I mean, the only question is, she was able to wrestle in AEW.
Seemingly a limited schedule, seemingly.
Yeah.
But how much does that have to do with her neck as opposed to...
creative, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if she can wrestle, which I don't see any reason why, she wouldn't be able to, then I could see that. I could totally see that.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
If for whatever reason they're like, we're looking at your doctor's notes here and, that doesn't meet our level of clearance or whatever, then I don't know that they would bring her in for a role. I mean, they got plenty of other programming like pre-shows and shit like that. Whether or not she'd want to be involved in a non-wrestling capacity, I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
But if she can wrestle, then yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, totally.
I could see that.
Would you like to answer some questions?
Would you like to look at the television, Mr. Lee?
This is an interesting one. Luis here says, can you guys power rank the 5 senses?
Yeah. So what would you here's the thing. I'm trying not to be disrespectful to people who are hard of sight, hard of hearing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is your personal favorite sense?
I guess it'd have to be touch, right? It would be
interesting
to go to walk through life like not being able to feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting.
Either that or taste, I feel like.
Wow.
Because there's immediate gratification when you have food that is really delicious.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So I'd say those two are top 2.
Wow, that's interesting. Boy, for me, number 1 might be hearing. Number 1 might be because you get music, you can at the very least, you can, even if I lost my sight, you can still hear wrestling and the commentary and stuff like that. You can sort of put yourself, you can maybe see it yourself in your own way. You can hear your family talk to you, the voices of, I still listen to some of my dad's voicemails sometimes because it's a very real thing. So I think hearing would be my number 1. And then just because I don't know, the funny thing about sight is I wonder what absence of sight sort of the perception of that is. I've always been curious because I don't think it's just close your eyes and that's what it would be.
Yeah.
It's what does, what do you see in the back of your head? You can't. There's just it's not darkness. It's just you can't. So I don't know. I think I'd feel kind of lonely if I didn't have my sight, unless I was always around people. But man, the touch would probably be the last one that I would want, that I'd care losing.
That's interesting.
It's I do like to touch things, and then of course, oh man, down there you got to touch, you got to feel that, So I don't know. Maybe I'd go the Hilton route. I'd lose my nose first, the smelling first, but then, dude, I get such a sense of memory with my smelling.
Yeah.
It's dude, a freshly cut grass in the spring, for some reason, always takes me back to when I was a kid in England. There's that very
there's
distinct...
a lot of memories associated with scent. Yeah.
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 So I would probably go, if I'm going to power rank the senses, as has been experienced by me, I'd probably go hearing, sight, taste. Oh, God damn it. Taste is so good. And then touch, then smell.
Interesting.
Because here's the thing. You can get a lot out of taste. Like if you separate taste and smell, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, obviously things were going to taste better if the olfactory process was involved
right,
too.
right.
No, I agree. I think smell would probably be at the bottom for me too.
Yeah. Yeah, you could go without smelling things.
Yeah.
And still be a functional person, you know. Or you're like Hilton and you're not a functional person. Oh, God. Dude, honestly, there are few people that if I stumble upon them in real life, that I get as much joy than stumbling upon him.
Oh, I know.
When I was at the outlets, did I tell you that I saw him at the
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I was I went to the outlets. I was coming from the parking lot. I was about to go to the Nike, and I just hear his loud ass voice. And he comes around the corner with his amazing kid. And I'm like, it's just joy fills my heart, you know?
Yeah. He's got an exuberance about him that's infectious, at least in small doses.
Yeah, and not at a party when he's had too much beer. And you've been putting up with his shit as a roommate for too long, right? Am I right, Larson?
I don't know what you're talking about. I love Hilton.
I love that guy so much.
I've known him for 30 plus years.
But seriously, it's the way I used to feel when my dad would come around. Not saying Hilton's my dad, but like if whenever I'd see my dad at I'd go to my parents' house, I see my dad, you just get that thing in you, that little hint of joy. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about with Hilton. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I always know he's going to put a smile on my face.
Yep.
Oh man. AJ says, should Monet versus Storm be for both titles?
I mean, if you want to up the stakes a bit, yeah, sure, why not?
Should it be for all of Mercedes' titles?
All of Mercedes' titles.
That's a bit unfair.
Then you're really upping the stakes.
That's a bit unfair. It's like Tony's got to put more than just the AEW Women's World title on the line if Mercedes is putting 7 titles on the line.
Yeah, well, that's true. Sebastian here says, which current active wrestler should get a retirement tour in 15 to 20 years from now?
Current active wrestler.
Probably Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns.
I mean, I feel like Seth would probably... I know he tried to get into the Marvel stuff. I wonder if the Marvel stuff might have put him off the whole Hollywood thing. He's like, fuck this. They replaced me with the amazing Giancarlo Esposito. Yeah, Seth. I think Seth's gonna hold out now. I think he's gonna be around now. I don't know. Randy Orton, how about that?
He's probably still be wrestling in 15 years.
Yeah.
Here's the name. Hangman Adam Page, when he finally retires from wrestling, assuming especially if he stays in AEW for the whole duration of his career.
How old is he? Isn't he only 27 or something?
Who, Hangman?
Oh, he's 33. Okay.
Yeah, 33, yeah.
Yeah.
So if he's, 15
years old, yeah.
Yeah, approaching 50.
There you go. You think Heyman's ever going to go to WWE?
I won't. I'm not going to say he won't, but I wouldn't be shocked if he's in AEW for life.
Same.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Same. Yeah.
Mr. Sinister asked, if you can add a stipulation, the Money in the Bank winner, what would it be? Defend it.
Yeah,
the briefcase.
Yeah, it'd be defend the briefcase. Yeah, it'd be like the G1. This is a great question. Joe the Meme Maker says, what's a better tape library? Ring of Honor or TNA?
Ring of Honor.
It's only because of Ladder Wars?
Well, that's part of it. Mm-hmm. I mean, most of the people that would bring the most value, not all, but, AJ, Smojo, I can think of other names probably, that would bring a lot of value to the TNA library. They also wrestled the Ring of Honor,
Mm-hmm.
So... plus, you got Danielson. You got so many other people, Seth, Kevin Owens, Sammy, that wrestled the Ring of Honor. So,
if I was on a desert island, Larson,
you'd want the TNA one because you don't know what kind of wacky shit is going to be in there, right?
Dude, you want the TNA one? Yeah, this isn't even close because TNA had so many different eras. and such a wide variety of wrestlers. You get amazing in-ring, so bad it's good stuff, so bad it's really bad car wreck stuff, Hogan. You got the NWO theme. You got Raven doing probably his best work. You've got August 1 warning, identity revealed. Yeah, it's TNA. It's TNA by a long shot, I think. The deletion stuff? Yeah.
The Ladder War, Steve.
You do have Ladder War.
Ladder War.
You got, what was it? What were they called? The Seth Rollins, Jimmy Jacobs stuff? Or like
Age of the Fall.
Age of the Fall?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. You know,
I guess it depends on what your criteria is.
Desert Island. Desert Island's got to be the TNA library.
Then. Yeah, it might be TNA. Because in Ring of Honor, you get a lot of really good wrestling, but it's just...
If they're like,
the
hey,
point
Stephen
is
Larson.
monotonous if you're on, year 3 of watching a Ring of Honor show every day.
Yeah.
On Desert Island's like, can I just have something ridiculous, please?
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. If it's like, hey, Stephen Larson, we're going to put you in an MST3K-esque experiment where you're stuck on a space station. You only get one of these tape libraries. I'd be like, bro, I've never asked for anything from you, Larson. I'm asking you for the TNA library. Let's do it. Oh, man.
Jacob Underwood asked, pretend the Cena retirement tour wasn't happening in 2025. What would be top story in 2025?
Oh, what a great question.
Probably what they're doing with Seth, I would guess.
Yeah, I think probably they might have fast-tracked the Seth stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. JFEO. I never know how to say this name. J Fiodcap says, what's a good crime thriller to watch tonight? Zodiac.
Nightcrawler.
Oh, Nightcrawler's so damn good.
It's a good movie.
Boy, that's a good one. Yeah, good shout.
Marcus Louis here says, do we see Cesaro / Claudio Castagnoli ever return to WWE? It's a possibility.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think if he looks at like Rusev and maybe Alistair to a degree, I think if he sees that and he's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. They're letting him put on these. I don't know how long that match was last night with him and Sheamus, but that was a long-ass match.
It was.
Yeah, I could see him coming back. Depends on if Triple H wants him back.
Yeah.
Here we go. Art Guy says, power rank. Who's most over with the crowd? He brings up Punk, Jay, Rhea, LA Knight, Randy, or Cody. He says, I was at the double taping last night, and the pop Jay got was Austin Levels.
Oh, when he came out to make the save at the end of Raw, yeah. It was pretty huge.
I feel like, hey, let me ask him, if you had to bet money on it, $10, would you put it on Jay Uso winning another world title?
Oh, probably not.
I don't think I would either, but the pops are real.
Part of it, too, though, is context. Because obviously Jay coming out to make the save, that's not just him coming out for a promo. That's a more proactive thing he's doing to help his friends. And I think that would get a louder pop as opposed to him just coming out to cut a promo. So I think the situation matters in terms of
all right, so
when the pop happens.
Here's my power rank with these 6 names. Punk, Jay, Rhea, LA Knight, Randy, Cody, okay?
Yeah.
Boy, this is hard. So, I'll be honest with you. I think number 1 might be LA Knight.
I think number 1 might be LA Knight or Jay.
Yeah.
The other thing about Jay, his is sustained.
It is.
They want 10
more.
minutes of yeets,
They want more.
Yeah.
They love that shit.
Yeah. So I think for the live crowd, Jay might be number 1.
Jay, LA Knight. Randy might be next on the list. Randy gets huge pops.
And then they sing his theme.
They know all the lyrics.
Yeah.
So Jay, LA Knight, Randy. Probably Punk then. He still gets a chance if he's not
around. At this point,
around.
Is Cody last on the list? Because Rhea gets huge pops too.
Then it's between Rhea and Cody.
Like, I feel like if Rhea ran out to make a save,
versus Cody running out to make a save.
Rhea would get the louder pop.
You think so?
Yeah.
I think it's definitely possible. Yeah, Cody might be last, which is a good place for the company to be because Cody gets massive pops.
He does.
Yeah.
He does. Cruz here says, if you're the women's world champion, do you always have to feud with Rhea?
Fuck. I mean, yeah, she's kind of the Austin.
Yeah.
She's
If you want to prove that you're the absolute best, you got to beat Rhea because she's been on top of the division for so long.
And yet, we need to do this as a poll on our channel. Who do you want to see win at Evolution, Rhea versus Io? I think Io would clear Rhea
with our crowd,
by 10
for sure.
By 10 points. By 10 points.
Yeah. Black Sails says, predict which matches will main event night 1 and night 2 of SummerSlam. Well, we did a video on that where each of us predicted the SummerSlam card. It's on Friendo Club Wrestling.
It's on Friendo Club Wrestling. You watch the entire thing right there. We're not going to spoil that. Angel Zeros says, what's more likely? Punk wins the title and Seth cashes in, or Punk is the one to take the title from Seth? So it's like Gunther LA Knight and then Seth cashes in.
I think it's the latter. I think it's Punk takes the title from Seth at WrestleMania. Next year.
I could see that. Yeah, I think that's probably more likely. Yeah.
Justin.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, what'd you say?
I don't have any more here, so whatever you got left.
Here. I got plenty.
Cool.
Justin says, how do you guys feel about the really close camera angles during matches?
Oh, that Sheamus Rusev one was weird.
That's the one Justin brings up, yeah.
There's a dude just in the ring. I was like, oh, did a fan get in there with his iPhone? That's crazy.
That might be a little too close to the action.
I'm not saying I couldn't get used to it, but especially, man, I'm watching on my huge. I'm watching that big ass one over there.
You're the camera person in the ring with him,
right? I was getting worried for myself. Yeah, I could get used to it, but it's a little jarring right now.
Yeah. Nate Cruz asks, have any title runs in WWE in the past year been any good?
Sure.
Well, I think Cody's was generally regarded as pretty solid.
Yeah, Cody's is all right.
When Seth had the World Heavyweight Championship, it was all right. But that's more than a year ago, so never mind.
Who's been yeah. EO? I don't know. EO's been good, hasn't it? Did EO retained at WrestleMania, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, EO's had a good one. She's popular. It's helped elevate her. It's helped elevate the title.
Yeah.
You know, Liv had a good run, didn't she?
Yeah. I think Liv and Raquel are having a good run with the tag titles.
Yeah, they're having a good run with the tag titles. Well, obviously now it's changed, but it's interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, has anything ever like, oh my God, this is amazing?
Well, that's kind of the state WWE's in right now, where everything's kind of like consistently all right.
Yeah.
But there hasn't been a whole lot of, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Probably since Cena's heel turn Elimination Chamber.
Cena's has been, while it hasn't been like great or anything, it's been something to talk about.
It has been. And there's been
it's not necessarily, oh, this is shit. No. It's like, oh, this is okay. Hey, cool. He did this pipe bomb thing. That's kind of interesting. It's been memorable. Cena's has been memorable for good reasons and bad reasons. And I think as long as something is like, talked about, it's like, oh, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. It generates conversation. I got a couple more here. Payday says, what would be the kayfabe reason for Io to want to fight Rhea? Io says she wants to fight the best, but not only has Rhea never beat her, she's failed all 3 title attempts this year.
Because she just fended off 2 people at the same time in a match in Saudi. You can't look at that and be like, oh, she's not the best. Dude, she is so overpowered.
Yeah.
And maybe Io thinks, there's a little bit of an asterisk when I beat her before WrestleMania because of the Bianca situation.
Yeah. All right, we'll end on this one. Ty Moore here says, with the possibility that Evolution could be a 6-match card, do you think we'll have less ads on the show?
No. Not a chance.
In fact, it'll run long and therefore actually have more ads. It'll probably be a 4-hour show.
We'll get a bunch of 5-minute matches.
Oh, don't put that out there.
It's entirely possible. Yeah, it's entirely possible.
Apparently, there's another match made for Evolution at the SmackDown taping.
I saw that. I saw the spoiler for that. Yeah. Also a big return to SmackDown as well. But I don't know if we're ever even going to talk about any of that. Maybe on Monday. I guess on Monday we will.
Yeah, next Monday we'll
I guess on Monday we will. Anyways. 2-hour SmackDown this week. Light some fireworks, watch some SmackDown.
Yeah. How many hot dogs do you eat this Friday, Steve?
No upper limit. So, at this point, you're going to measure them in packs.
Wow.
Yeah. What is it? 8 in a pack?
8 in a pack. So you're gonna do 2 packs?
Maybe
16?
I'll be like, maybe you can call me Sean Waltman. I'll be 6-pack.
There you go. Wow, 48 hot dogs. Good knowing you.
Oh, man. Anyways, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow with our hot takes. Till next time, we'll see you guys around.
Goodbye.